Hello, Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise here, continuing my list of the top 5 most important board game design elements, according to me. This is my list, but again, Brain Donors is one of my favorite movies, so really, how trustworthy can my opinion actually be? Well, so far, we've covered board game names, components, and artwork. Which brings us to the second most important board game design element on my list, the theme. One of the reasons why theme is so important is because it can be used as a shorthand to communicate a game's premise and expected mechanisms. For example, imagine the type of game that you would play given these themes: zombies and generic fantasy. Now, when you encounter a game with a zombie theme, it's likely that the game is going to incorporate some sort of survival element. Conversely, generic fantasy likely involves taking on the role of a character who will gain equipment and improve a set of skills during the gameplay. Did the games that you imagined when I mentioned zombies and generic fantasy match those mechanisms? A game's theme sets the stage to present an environment where its game mechanisms make sense. So, in that respect, perhaps overused themes aren't actually such a bad thing, and perhaps even beneficial. But of course, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be constantly exploring new themes. However, treading into the realm of unusual themes isn't without its own potential pitfalls. Pret-a-Porter is an economic strategy game set in a world of fashion. Players run clothes companies and fight for dominance during fashion shows. It is an atypical theme. However, I've heard several people, including some fairly prominent male podcasters, state that they would not play this game simply because of its theme. It's one of those things that actually kind of was disappointing to hear. And to thicken the plot, Pret-a-Porter is in the process of being rethemed and reintroduced, being changed from the world of fashion to designing video games. Will the new theme be a success, even though the game's underlying mechanisms will be exactly the same as before? And if so, does that suggest that some themes actually are better than others? Well, personally, I still don't think so. What I do think is it would prove that people, all people, including myself, bring their own baggage with them when interpreting a game's theme. And so, these two examples, the way theme can complement, even communicate a game's mechanisms, and how theme can affect a person's interpretation of two games that are otherwise identical, demonstrate why theme is the second most important board game design element. So, what design element could possibly be even more important than that? Well, join me next time when I will reveal number 1 on my list, the most important element in board game design.
That spells cash with a capital
K.
You should go back to school.
I hated teaching.